together with my wife Sandra, we are the BAZFLYERS. Why BAZFLYERS? Well, we are both private pilots, and our Piper Comanche aeroplane has the call sign BAZ, or in phonetic terms, Bravo Alpha Zulu. The year 2019 marked my 50th year of flying. The legendary Oshkosh Air Show in the USA was celebrating its 50th year. It was 50 years since New Zealand aviator Cliff Tate set out to fly around the world in his small New Zealand-built Airtura. And 2019 was also the year my loving spouse and I were celebrating 50 years of togetherness. So the idea developed, let's go round the world in 50 flights. Great friends and flying have enriched our lives, so in the spirit of flying ambassadors of friendship, we invite you to take a seat in our trusty Comanche and accompany us on 50 flights round the world. It all begins at the BAZ base, Taupo Airport, New Zealand, where preparations for 6 months on the wing occupied us for a good many months. Aircraft condition, safety equipment, itinerary, flight planning, accommodation, and more. There were lists, checklists, reviews, and even reviews of reviews. In fact, nothing was left to chance. Finally, all that remained for us to do was load the Comanche, say goodbye to family, and depart home base on flight number 1. It was Sunday, the 28th of April, early autumn in the southern hemisphere, and true to form, the weather was typically moist with intermittent showers. However, 2 hours and an RNAV approach later, we were on the ground at Kerikeri in the far north of New Zealand. Conditions were good for a flight over the Tasman Sea, and with friends Alan and Julie in attendance, the trusty Comanche was unleashed airborne to Australia.
Run halfway across the Tasman Sea. We've just crossed from New Zealand control into Australian control. We're talking to them on HF radio and all is going good. As you can see, very tidy 171 knots indicated for our ground speed. The better the ground speed, the better we like it. Looking out ahead, the weather looks pretty good now, all the way across to the Gold Coast.
The flight concluded with an Arnab Zulu approach and landing runway 14, and it wasn't long before we were savouring the delights of Coolangatta.
Red and yellow flags for swimming inside and surfing outside the flags anywhere you want. So you can go surfing anywhere, but this is just a swimming area, flag area.
We must keep moving on, and flight number 3 saw us visiting the historic Queensland mining settlement of Charters Towers. With the friendly assistance of Bob and Ben at B&B Aero, an oil change on the Comanche was a breeze, and with the job complete, Ben demonstrated his paramotor. From Charters Towers, we tracked north along the Cape York Peninsula to Horn Island at the northeastern tip of Australia. And it was from here we left Australia behind, flying to Mount Hagen, deep in the western highlands of Papua New Guinea.
Mount Hagen Tower, Zulu Kilo Bravo Alpha Zulu was late downwind for landing runway 30.
Zulu Alpha Zulu, heavy inside runway 30, clear to land.
Soon after landing at Mount Hagen Airport, we were whisked away to Rondon Ridge Lodge, one of the unique places in Papua New Guinea owned and operated by our host Bob Bates of Trans New Guinea Tours. Situated at an altitude of 2,100 metres, this unique lodge has stunning vistas, a beautiful garden and culinary delights. Bob's own legendary flights in small aircraft crisscross the globe. Flight number 6 took us to the island of Guam, north of the equator and far out into the western Pacific. Takeoff was accomplished in the relative cool of an early morning. The route took us through the intertropical convergence zone, that ever-present band of convective weather activity that often generates vigorous thunderstorms over large areas. With United States immigration formalities complete, we were in the welcoming company of locals Tom and Mimi.
You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
By now, we had been on the wing for 17 days, and with everything in order, fuel tanks were topped off for the long 9-hour flight over the Western Pacific to Kagoshima in Japan. It was a wet instrument arrival into Kagoshima and our first experience to English language air traffic controlling delivered with challenging accents. The sun did shine on Kagoshima while we waited on a weather improvement for the onwards journey into Russia. And soon it was time to refuel, say goodbye to our handlers at New Japan Aviation, and once more take to the air. Flying airways to Russia in our Comanche? Who would have ever imagined?
Stream 363, Signal maintain 11,000, area unit 2966.
Signal maintain 11,000, 2966, return number 363.
Deteriorating flight conditions required an instrument arrival into Sakhalinsk, along with a fast-track introduction to height in meters and QFE. Border formalities entering Russia were efficient and pleasant, and the pre-arranged 2 drums of avgas were there to greet us. Later in the day, walking the streets of Sakhalinsk challenged any previously held vision of a Far East Russian city. Luggage stowed, it was flight number 9, Airways to Magadan. Flying airways in Russia was remarkably easy, obliging controllers, helpful en route services and excellent communications on both HF and VHF.
We have a green gear down.
Green gear down, thank you.
Magadan, like all Soviet-era Gulag settlements, has its own sad history of human deprivation, misery and death. Remarkably, while fully acknowledging the past, today's inhabitants are positive and enjoying a fast-growing standard of living.
Translate me. No 666.
Our oxygen bottle was obligingly refilled for flight number 10 to Anadar, a stopover we had chosen due to its remoteness, and remote it was. Anadar is the most northeastern town in Russia. It is reliant on year-round air services. The harbour is icebound for about 9 months of the year, and there is no road connection to any other place. We landed at Anadar on the 27th of May. The harbour was still frozen, something locals said was unusual for this time of the year. No problem, take a hovercraft taxi.
Сегодня Макс потерялся, что студент говорил, что Макс пропал. Неровно сидит.
Canada is a town of colours, in contrast to a stark landscape. Thank you, Russia. We will be back. But for now, we must keep moving on. This time, a relatively short flight over the Bering Strait to the small USA settlement of Nome, Alaska. A flight where, courtesy of the international dateline, we land the day before we take off. Nome is a frontier town built on the ambitions of gold prospecting. G'day! An unmistakably Australian voice. It was Aussie Ryan and his mates preparing their gold sluice in anticipation of a fortune to be made over the short summer season. Then fishermen like Adam, hardy to the core. Bigger than Texas, Alaska is the land of aeroplanes, a place where 1 in 70 people is an active pilot. Our IMC arrival over the mountains and down into Merrill Field was confidently assisted by the smooth and reassuring Anchorage radar controller.
Zulu Kilo Bravo Alpha Zulu, fly present heading.
Flying present heading, Zulu Kilo Bravo Alpha Zulu.
Zulu Kilo Bravo Alpha Zulu, just going to maintain 7,000.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
By now, our Comanche had clocked up 49 hours since leaving Charters Towers. It was time for another oil change before exploring the town and checking out F Street Station, a place that has watered and fed many flight crews. With 12 flights completed, there was still a very long way to go. BAZFLYERS invite you to reboard our Comanche for part 2 of 50 flights round the world when we take off once more, this time flying to the southern Alaskan town of Sitka.